How's the dog taken to the boys so far over the past year or so?
Doing good.
Oh wow, the dog's getting huge. Hi,
Yeah.
buddy. What are you doing? Oh, oh, you playing with a dog?
Yeah, he's getting big.
Okay, my bad, my bad. Yo, the dog's
Up,
getting. He's
like-
a big pooch. Does he behave?
Yeah.
Hmm.
He isn't he really only will nibble my hand or something when we're playing.
Deez has got a really cute dog, German Shepherd named
No,
Ranger. But he,
is it acting better now? You said it was
no,
being a little.
he's still a little wild. I mean, I know he's a puppy and shit, but that's why I don't have dogs. I can't deal with that shit. That shit drives me up a wall.
Well, he's good now. He's a lot better. Even with Audie when she came over the other day. Like when he was a puppy, he would jump up more and be like all in her face. And this time he wasn't jumpy. He wasn't like, because he would play with the kids and like not bite them, but just like nip at them when they're running around really fast. And it's like you can't do that. And we basically trained him out of that pretty much. You just
Gotcha.
you don't reward bad behavior. You don't tolerate it either at that point. It's
Right.
like basically the same thing with kids. If you enable them to do bad behaviors, they're gonna keep doing bad behaviors. Dogs just learn a little bit faster sometimes.
Yeah. I'm worried about my cat. My cat, we just got her fixed, and she was fine the day we brought her home, and she was walking around, rubbing up against us and shit. But for some reason, last night she got really scared, and she's like hiding under the couch, and she hasn't come out. So, Chel's gonna work on getting her to try to come out and eat and stuff. And I just want to grab a hold of her at some point and see how her surgery, like her incision is, and make sure it's not.
Yeah, just make sure
It doesn't look
everything's.
like it's She doesn't look like she has. There's any blood under the carpet. I looked under the couch. Like I don't think she's bleeding or. Because the thing that was ridiculous was we have that door to our living room. You know, it's like slidable. It's got the magnets.
Yeah.
We were closing it off with tape and like putting something in front of it so she couldn't get in there because she peed originally, and she broke through the bottom of the door, and I watched her do it because she was so scared of us for no reason. Probably because
Oh
we put
wow.
her, yeah. And I'm like, that couldn't have been good on her body, busting through there. It's one thing to climb on things here and there because she's gonna do that, but I'm a little concerned about her. So, Joe's gonna periodically check on her and try to get her to come out from under the couch and shit. We'll see how it goes, but you spend spend four
Anything.
spent $400 getting her fucking fixed, and then on top of that, you worry about her. It's like so fucking annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, we're gonna talk about a little football. Keep It G Real podcast. We're back with another one. We're gonna be breaking down the NFC. Last week we did the AFC. We're gonna try to move a little quicker with this time. We got some guys that might try to hop in later. I sent everyone the links. Who knows who's gonna hop in? I'm hoping Dennis and Adam and Keegan hop in here because then all hell will break loose because they'll start arguing about the fucking Giants and the Cowboys. So that'll be pretty funny. So let's see who shows up. Let's see who doesn't. We'll start with you and I could just start with the NFC South. We'll start with the Panthers. Last year they were 5-12. The Panthers are an interesting team to me because personally I think they have some talent on both sides of the football. They got solid corners. Jeremy Chin back there at strong safety, free safety. Sometimes they play him in different spots. Artie Burns coming off. Not Artie. Why do I call him Artie every time? Brian Burns coming off the edge. They got a new left tackle who's supposed to be playing great. Can't play great the first preseason. Bunch of good offensive weapons, and now you got a guy in there, real arm talent, Baker Mayfield. So Anton and I are one of the people that kind of hopped on the. We don't know how good Sam Darnold really is because he's been in shit situations. But supposedly he got beat out in camp. I mean, why wouldn't they traded for him? I don't think they would have traded for Baker if they didn't think he was going to play or be good enough to play. So clearly Darnold is not what we would have hoped he'd be. I thought he'd be a solid quarterback, but it seems he's not even going to be that. How do you see what do you think the floor and the ceiling for Carolina is? I mean, they're in a bad division. but two of the rosters in the division are actually solid rosters. One has the quarterback, but what do you think about Carolina?
I'd say. See, I think Baker's gonna want to throw out this year, and with being healthy, and I haven't seen their like strength of schedule, but it can't be that strong, based off how they played last year.
Now that's something I never knew. Strength of schedule is based off. Is it based off your record? How does that work?
I think it goes. Well, they can't help who you face. Like, say, like that year you're facing the AFC West. You can't help that.
Right, but what about the other games?
Yeah, the other random games are like based off of schedule. Like the one game is based off of where you finish in your division. So like, I don't know. So I would think, I think they could get a floor. I'll say a floor of 6, only because that's like if Baker is not doing great and like if the running back gets injured again. I mean, if he can stay healthy, that'd be good for them. But they don't have that many wide receivers, to be honest. They got Robbie Anderson and a couple other ones.
DJ Moore is their best one, and Marshall's underrated, their slot receiver. Kid from LSU.
Yeah. But I think they can get at least 6. And I'll put a ceiling of like 8.
Yeah, I will say this. Robbie Anderson's overrated. And I was watching this podcast called The Pivot. It's a sports podcast with a bunch of ex-NFL players. They have Robbie Anderson. I don't remember if it was The Pivot or if it was I Am Athlete. They got Robbie Anderson out there, like, on the show acting like he's this, like, wicked good wide receiver and shit. He's in the room with, like, all pro and Hall of Fame Cowboy players. He's like, and they're talking, like, and I get it. He's, like, an NFL player, and he's okay. But I just found it hilarious. He talks so much. He's a dude that runs his mouth a lot and acts like he's wicked good, but he's really not that great. He's had one good season. And he's like, no, when they pick up Baker Mayfield. Then he backpedals and says, oh, I was just supporting Sam Darnold. And then in preseason, he's like, yeah, Baker's pretty good. It's like, dude, fuck, kick rocks, dude. DJ Moore's really good, though. So you think they can't win more than 8 games?
I think if they win more than 8 games, I think the 9 to 10 range is like playoff range for the NFC, and I don't think they're getting in the playoffs. I just don't see them as a playoff team, especially if the Saints quarterback has any play, they're gonna be beating them out. And the same thing for Tampa Bay; their team's too good to not win, pretty much. So I mean,
yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Hard to put them as a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Baker on that team is going to give them a little bit of juice. And I think maybe the offense could be a little sneaky and be fun to watch. But the offensive line is not that great. And I don't think they're going to play much defense, really. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Baker's gonna ball out, though. I still think Baker's going to ball out this year enough.
Yeah, fuck it. Let him off the fucking chain. This is Matt Rule's final fucking crack. So,
okay.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd say like the floor is probably 5 or 6 wins. Ceiling's like 8 wins. Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to see some of the young players play on that team. I like some of the players they got, but you know, the Matt Rule experiment hasn't gone too great over there. So, but yeah, I agree. I agree with you on Panthers. So a team that is in a similar boat, and honestly, it's weird. Like, they literally, Arthur Smith and Matt Ryan got the most they possibly could out of this Atlanta Falcons team last year. Because in my opinion, their offense is their roster is not that much better, or is just as good as their roster is not not much better than the Panthers. They're starting Mariota. He's looked good so far in camp and preseason. Desmond Ritter's looked good in camp and preseason, but you just look at the state of the team, offensive line, okay. Question marks at running back, although I really like Tyler Algier for them. Watch out for him. Drake London looks good. Obviously, their tight end's really good. And then defensively, they're just not good. I mean, they still got Grady Jarrett. They extended him. And then obviously they got their cornerback, who was a really good rookie last year. I always forget his name. AJ Terrell. He was really good last year for them, like really like high level for them last year. But again, both of these teams are fighting for last place, third place, whichever one. I think it could be like a flip flop, but I think Atlanta's going to finish last. I think that their ceiling and floor is similar. I think the quarterback play is just a little bit too good for Carolina. If everyone stays healthy, Carolina could finish third. I don't think the Falcons are going to be that good this year. What do you think about the Falcons?
Falcons are definitely going to be in last place. Especially, like you said, their defense is not good enough. And now, without Matt Ryan, I don't think, even if Mariota plays very well, he's not going to be able to glue the team together like Matt Ryan did. I would say...
Drake London looking good in camp, though.
Yeah.
Looked good in preseason.
Yeah. I mean... I love preseason stuff, but I mean Nate Peterman looked good in preseason too. So I mean,
yeah,
he only left.
But I mean, against the ones he played well. I mean, they didn't play no one.
Yeah.
I don't remember who they played. There was two bad teams.
But yeah. I see as a low. I would go down to 4 wins.
Yeah,
and
I think it could be bad. I think it could be bad this year as we thought it was going to be. Remember last year? We spent a half an hour shitting on the Falcons.
Yeah, but I think they're going to, as sad as to say, I think 4 wins. I think they'll probably be the number 1 or 2 pick, or 3, whatever. They're going to be around there again.
I'm rooting for Desmond Ridder, though.
I'll give them a ceiling of 7. And that's just if everything goes great. And everything functions well.
Yeah, if Desmond Ridder comes off the bench and starts slinging tubs.
I mean,
if 7.
If Mariota's not doing great halfway throughout the year, you might as well toss the rookie out there. Especially if you only have like 1 or 2 wins by that point. Might as well toss him out there. What's the worst that can happen?
Hell yeah. Well, Desmond
more
Ridder
games, get better.
Dude. Little Desmond Ridder action? What you know about that, dude? Desmond Ridder was solid at college, man. I like him. Like him a lot.
It'll be interesting. If he gets in there, he probably will get in there this year. He could if Mariota's not great.
Yeah, I was like thinking to myself, I like Desmond Ridder a lot, and then I was like, oh, Desmond Ridder. I'm like, he gets to go sit behind Matt Ryan and learn from a really good quarterback, and then Matt Ryan gets traded, and then I was like, oh, Desmond Ridder's going to play, and then they brought in Mariota, and I'm like, yo, Ridder could beat Mariota out. Like, Mariota ain't that great. What sucks about Mariota, though, is Mariota has blips of being really good. Mariota sometimes has games where it's like, throw for 2 touchdowns, rush for a touchdown, and rush for over 100 yards, and you're like, Mariota freaking out and shit, and then he goes back to just sucking. Mariota's so weird. And he can never stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, that's why he got out of Tennessee. I mean, and then he bounced over, wasn't he at the Raiders last year?
Yeah.
And, I mean, when you're bouncing around that much, there's something you're not doing right. I mean, like I said, he's very inconsistent.
Yeah, he's just not that great. So yeah, I think we agree with the Falcons. I'm gonna give the edge to the Panthers, and I'm gonna say Falcons are gonna finish last.
Yeah, I'll give it the edge is like Baker and just their defense.
Yeah, Baker defense is a little bit better. Better weapons. I mean,
yeah,
proven weapons. Talk shit. We're talking shit about Robbie Anderson, but Robbie Anderson can get downfield. He gets in the end zone. And DJ Moore is just a beast. Terrence Marshall in the slot. Yeah, I think Falcons are going to finish last, which brings us to the third team, who I think will be the third team, and that's New Orleans Saints. So the New Orleans Saints are a weird team to me right now because the New Orleans Saints are one of those teams where I talk about all the time, if only they had a really good quarterback. Does anyone not think it's crazy that all of a sudden when Drew Brees retires, the Saints are just a fledgling team, even though they're talented? Saints have wide receivers, they got running backs, they got a really good offensive line, they have one of the best defenses in the league. But they'll probably, you look at their team, they have a stacked offensive line. Both their tackles are good. They got a couple good interior offensive linemen. If their running backs can stay healthy, they got a good stable of running backs there with Alvin Kamara leading it.
Yep.
You got your star wide receiver back and Michael Thomas, whose game was never predicated on speed. It was about route running, catching everything, attacking the ball, driving and attacking the ball when he goes to get it. You have who's the kid? I always forget his name. Marquez Callaway, who's been really good the past 2 years for them. And then you look at the defense. This defense has the opportunity to be possibly the best defense in the league this year. Depends on what they get out of their linebackers. But their front four, nasty. Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan. Their linebackers, underrated. They have that. Who's the dude? Is it Pete Werner? It's not Warner. It's Werner. He wears like number 40. He quietly graded out really well last year for them at linebacker. And then their secondary it's possible now that they had Tyrann Mathieu. Their secondary might be the best secondary in the league next year. That team's going to be a tough out for absolutely everyone because they got talent on all levels, both sides of the ball. They're solid in special teams. Like, they got, what do they got? Marcus Lattimore, Gardner Johnson, Tyrann Mathieu. I forget who the other corner is across from Lattimore, but I know they're deep at corner. Like, this team is going to be a tough team based off how much talent's actually on that roster. But again, what are you going to get? I heard Jameis Winston was hurt. I don't know how true that is. Now, Jameis Winston makes it precarious because Jameis Winston has arm talent enough to where he could score you a bunch of touchdowns, but he's also going to make you a lot of mistakes. If Winston plays most of the year, I think the ceiling for that team could be 9 or 10 wins because he'll score enough to where you'll win a lot of football games with the rest of that roster. But their floor could easily be 6-7. Their floor could still be low because they don't get good enough quarterback play. And if you don't got good enough quarterback play, you roll into these games with these other good teams, you're not going to be able to keep up, no matter how good your roster is. You could assure that Alvin Kamara will probably get fucking hurt at some point. So I don't know. What do you think about the Saints? I love the roster. I just can't get over the fact that there's question marks at quarterback. They're second. They're for sure going to be second place.
Yeah, I think they're going to be over Carolina for sure, but I don't think it's going to be a close race for first. That's the problem. I think they're just going to be just a game or two above, probably 2 games above Carolina. And it's going to be comfortable going into the end. It has to not to be bad for them, but I'm not sure if they make the playoffs. So that's if they get 10 wins, they could. But it depends how good the NFC plays this year, win-wise. I would say even with Winston's interception issue, with the defense, as long as the interceptions aren't super close to the goal line, I think he can. 30. Yeah, I think he has the ability to come back with his throws, and I think his defense isn't going to let the other team score as much anyways, even if it's a bad situation for him. You know what I mean? So
defense could be good this year. Really, really, really good this year.
Yeah, I'm with you though. I would say a floor of 10. Ceiling of 10.
I was gonna say your floor is 10. Let's go, dude.
The ceiling of 10 and a floor of 7. Because I don't think they're gonna get less than 7 with their defense alone. I think it'll keep the score low, and if Winston's in there, he's gonna score points, especially with a healthy Michael Thomas this year.
Yeah, I don't know when he's coming back. I'd have to check. I've been so busy that I don't have my normal notes.
He was out pretty much all of last year. I think he's close to coming back. He has to be.
Thought something happened again. I could look it up, but I'm not as prepared as I normally am.
Yeah.
Just been super busy. But yeah, I think we both agreed that they're second. Wow, that leaves us with the Buccaneers. They went 13-4. Some of these teams I didn't know won 13 games, 12 games. Shows you how much I pay attention sometimes. Buccaneers 13-4. They're obviously gonna win, but I don't know how I feel. I have questions about this Bucs team though. In terms of the grand scheme, what do you think about the Bucs? Like, what are your opinion on the Buccaneers this year? And you could talk about probably playoff success if you want a little bit too, because they're gonna win their division.
They're gonna win the division. I would start off with the floor and ceiling. I'll do floor as as 8 and a ceiling of 12.
Okay, floor 8. So you think there could be a wide variance?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. See, I don't think they're gonna have to win too much to get the division. So if it comes down towards the end, and that it's the last game or so, if they're not close to clinching that 1 seed, then why would you push it? Well, right. I think they could be. So if they're out of that contention, and they already have 12 wins and they have a game left, you know what I mean? Any more above that, like you said, it's 13, 14. That's still a lot of wins without having any dropped games or anything like that.
I feel like if I'm the Bucs, as talented as they are, and Tom being 45 years old, probably tried to win 10, 11 games, because it rest your guys towards the end. You're not going to need to do a lot probably to win this division. But my question is, we don't even really have to get that far into how talented this roster is. It's just one of the most talented rosters in the league.
Yeah.
They lost Ryan Jensen, which sucks, but I'm hearing all kinds of weird rumors out of that camp, Tom Brady isn't around and all this other shit, and it's well, who knows what's true and who knows what's not, but I get a sense that this team might not be as ready and as focused.
Well, I don't think
considering the fact Tom's I'm retiring, and then comes back, it's
Well, I think it's weird that he's not going to be there. The fact that the whole news coming out it's only supposed to be only missing a little bit of training camp, and now it's they don't know when they don't know a
so
date
he's
when he's
not there
back.
at all. Is that really true?
Yeah, that's what I was listening to the Pat McAfee show about it, where he hasn't come back yet. And it's been 12 days or something like that since he was at practice.
There's got to be something going on.
And it was but he said it was for personal reasons he was going to be out for a little bit until the first a certain preseason game. And then now they don't. I think during the interview they said they didn't have a date when he's coming back in a sense. And then Pat McAfee was talking well, what has a starting date but not an actual ending date that he would be coming back from, because Tom Brady's he's a professional. He would be coming back when he said he would be. You know what I mean? And it just makes you think what's going on, because it could be. I think it's probably something with his family where someone's not healthy. I think it's something along those lines. Yeah. I don't think anything other than that, but he might come back a little rusty or not.
I don't think he will. I mean, he knows that offense. Top throw fucking darts in his sleep, all right? I haven't seen a dude. People can talk that shit, but he's also withstanding the test of time. If you see his numbers last year, you see what he was doing last year to teams.
Even though 5,000 yards, right?
5,600 or no? What do you have? 5,000 something, right?
But I just think he might come back the beginning of the year, be not all mentally there, football there. But I don't think his game will slump that much at all.
No.
But I'm saying I think it'll just be more of a slower Tom Brady start. He'll still be great, but he won't be, you know what I mean, as precisioned as he would have been, because he wouldn't have played these preseason games anyways. He would just be getting the reps in practice, pretty much.
Yeah, I honestly
and he doesn't need it because, like I said, he's played for 20 years.
He was throwing fucking darts all season last year.
He knows how to play the game.
I'm not worried about him coming back and playing bad. He was fucking throwing. If you're throwing darts at 44 all over teams, I have to actually see you the following year not throw darts anymore.
I will be that running back room though. Who did they put in? Because Ronald Jones, didn't he leave, right? Or did they?
I don't know much. I know the Bucs team stacked. They got Leonard Fournette, who played well last year.
No, I forgot it was either
Zamir
Jones.
White, the rookie. They got the Zamir White kid.
Yeah. Either Jones extended or he got signed somewhere else. I know something happened this offseason because it was his contract year in a sense.
Got a quick question for you. When you hopped in this, did you hit the link that I sent you before the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure because I sent the guys the links too. I don't know if they're gonna be hopping or not, but
yeah, it put me right in the video, so it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why you're saying the how wide the variance is there. I mean, I would say in that division, what's that?
That 8 is like if something dramatic happens.
Yeah. I would say their window's 10 to 12 wins. I think they can easily coast to 10 wins. I think I'd have to look at the schedule, but I think the ceiling would probably be 12. I mean, who knows? If they look as good as they looked last year and just tighten things up, they could easily be one of the best teams in the league again.
Did something happen to their center too, or something?
Yeah,
or
Ryan Jensen, he went down, so that'll be a big thing. He's done for the year.
So that'll be interesting.
Which supposedly the Bengals are trying to get him. So, I mean, you never know what happened, but so we'll shift gears here and go to the NFC North. We'll start with the last team from them, 3-13-1. Detroit. And you know, it's hard with Detroit because I really love their roster this year. But what sucks is we've loved Detroit rosters a few different seasons recently. How do you feel about Detroit?
I think they're gonna surprise a lot of teams this year. Like where they're gonna make the game, because even last year, like some of the games they lost, they should have lost by like 2 or so touchdowns, but they were like down to the wire and were like field goal kicks or like a last minute touchdown. You know what I mean? They're playing a lot of good games last year with a lot of, I guess, like a youngish talent. They definitely were younger than before. And they lost Stafford, who would win them games half the time. So, I think they're going to surprise a lot of teams. I think they'll finish third. They're not going to finish second. I mean, if everything goes 100% well for them, they could, but that's a high ask for them at that point. I would say third with like a 1 or 2 gap between the second team.
Did you see Aiden Hutchinson's debut?
Yes, he was massive on that team.
They came out, and I don't know if I don't know if they thought. So I watched that preseason game specifically because I was like watching the rookies. They came out, I think it was Atlanta they played. They came out and were specifically trying to double and triple team him. Dude, he had a play where he took a triple team on and collapsed the whole play. And still almost made the tackle. So they tried to double team him at the point of attack on a stretch play. So he halts the double team. Then somehow a third dude pulls and comes around and gets into the mix. And they all try to block him down the field. He literally barely moves. Then collapses the whole play down. And then tries to spin out of the triple team and almost gets the running back. And someone come out and hits him. Dude, he was fucking... Yo, that dude's fucking tough as nails. He's gonna be really good for them.
He is going to be good. That's why I'm saying I think their defense is going to surprise people this year. And even on the offense, I think they're going to do a little bit better. Hopefully Goff learned the offense there and stuff, and he's going to be a little bit nicer for them. They still got a good tight end, I think. Decent tight end there. But
yeah,
they still have
Hawkinson.
Yeah.
But a big part of this Detroit team is one of my favorite prospects a few years ago, Jeff Okudah. Like, he's got to step up. I think this is his 3rd year. I could be wrong. I think this is his 3rd season. He's got to step up and be the guy that they drafted him early for. I really loved him coming out of college. He's going to have to step up and be that lockdown corner for that team. They actually have some underrated safeties. Their linebacking core is coming along. Their front 4 guys are pretty solid. They have one of the best offensive lines in the whole entire league. They have really good offensive linemen across the board. They're set at all 5 positions. See what they get out of DeAndre Swift. Jared Goff, he has all the arm talent in the world. I just don't think he's that great. We'll see what happens with them. For me, it's tough because I feel like if this team stays healthy, I feel like they'll be competitive. You know, Dan Campbell's talking about how he'll beat up paraplegics and shit. I just think it's a fun team.
Even last year, dude. Last year they surprised a lot of teams with the fight they had in them. The games they should have got blown out. They only lost by maybe like I said, a last minute touchdown or like 3 points.
And I like the pairing of Jamison Williams with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had like 1,000 yards last year, and he was just a first down machine for them, like a slot guy, route runner guy. You mix him with T.J. Hawkinson, Jamison Williams if he comes back off his knee injury. If he could take the top off the defense and get down the field, make some big plays, I think they could be competitive. I would say I really believe that this team improves from last year. I really do. Even if Goff only plays like okay. I could see their floor being similar to last year's, like 3 or 4 wins, obviously. But I think they could get 7 wins. I think they improve this year. I think they finished 3rd.
I think this team will have the biggest ceiling floor gap.
Yeah, it's possible because I could really see them getting close to 500. But I could also see them, because if they get to 500, you're banking on everything working for this team. Goff's got to play to what he's capable of. The running back's got to play to what he's capable of and not get hurt. And we'll just bar injuries aside. Jameson Williamson has to come out and prove that he's a solid deep threat. And then the defense has got to hold up. If those things can happen, they could get close to 500. I would say 8 wins is the max for this roster. If they max out, I would say the floor is definitely similar to what they got, what they had last year. But I think they're going to be a fun watch. I think it's going to be interesting.
They will. I'll say a floor of. I'll say 4 wins, and I'll put a ceiling. I'll ceiling it at 9.
Yeah,
that'll be my.
Okay, that's one of your bold predictions.
Stop it, folks. I think personally, they're gonna come out the gate, and they're gonna shock the world by either winning or making it a very close game against the Eagles. I think because that threat, week 1. I think they're gonna come out the gate hot. I think
Darren's world would fucking melt if they lose to Detroit week 1. It'd be like we'll hear from Massachusetts. No.
Even if they made that game like a 3-point game at the end, that would be massive for them. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying a close, less than 6-point game for them there. Because I think I forgot where it's located, but I think if it's in Detroit, it's gonna be even better for them. I think.
Yeah, they're going to be raucous. So we could both say we have Detroit at 3rd, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because the next team, Chicago Bears, I think Chicago Bears have the opportunity to be the worst team in football, which for me puts them in a serious conundrum. But I'll let you go first. What is your synopsis of the Chicago Bears? They won 6 games last year. I think they're going to finish last this year, which I have a lot of questions because of that. What do you think about Chicago?
I feel bad for Fields.
That's what I'm going to get to after you're
They didn't do anything to really help him out over there. I can't think of any huge offensive move they did, So, and they got that guy.
Kids misbehaving.
Freaking throwing bottles out of the bottle thing we have in here. Anyways, I think I just don't have faith in their defense got worse. Their offense didn't improve, and they weren't great last year. And I mean, granted, I think with the certain players that left the NFC last year, in general, not even their division in general, I think it's gonna make it easier in that division, that whole like the NFC side without certain people in there, but it's not gonna make it any really that much easier for them. I think they're gonna stay around the same ceiling they were last year. They're not gonna improve. I think they're gonna be, and that's the difference.
You think they'll get to 6 wins?
I would say their ceiling's 6-7.
Okay.
They could, but I think their floor is like a 3, where they're not. There's not gonna, if they don't get good play out of Fields or the line.
So, I feel bad, so bad, because when I put my scout, my GM hat on, they got Justin Fields, which I felt bad for Anton because I wanted the Vikings to get Justin Fields. The kid clearly has all the talent in the world. But he's in an organization that's just been fucking inept for a while. They're literally just giving away all their best players, like just trading guys away. They got rid of Khalil Mack. They got rid of their best defensive linemen. They got good young players, in my opinion, on both sides of the football, but their offensive line is putrid. You're relying on a kid who's a solid running back in Montgomery, who I actually do like a lot, but he doesn't catch the ball much out of the backfield. I know they got Darnell Mooney there, but like, I watched this preseason game the other day when the ones went against the ones with the Bears, and Fields made some good plays, but he's back there running for his fucking life. It's like, how is he supposed to develop when y'all just give all your best players away? Like, honestly, for the sake of his development, I would have probably tried to pay Allen Robinson, maybe even a little more, like shorten the deal and pay him a little bit more than what he was going to make per year and try to get him to stay, because that would have helped him a lot, but they got Cole Kmet there, who's a solid and underrated tight end, and they got a couple pieces on defense, but that roster is just not good. It's one of the worst
Allen
rosters
Robinson missing, it's going to be a killer.
Well, he's got Darnell Mooney, who was really good without Allen Robinson there, but it's one guy. I just wish that he would have had more weapons to get the ball too quick. Like, this team's defense is going to be bad. Roquan Smith wants out, and let's be real here. As much as I love the linebacker position, a linebacker is not a premium position when it comes to building a team, unless that linebacker is the elite of the elite.
No linebacker.
Right. Well, it's not. And Roquan Smith, as good as he is, he's not proven to be transformative. Like, the defense is still ass with Roquan Smith on it. He's not Luke Kuechly. He's not Ray Lewis. He's not Fred Warner. Like, he's pretty damn fucking good. He's not Patrick Willis. He's not elite of the elite. He's like an A-tier player. He's not an S-tier player. You should probably, for the sake of your defense, you should probably try to pay the guy. You gotta. But at the same time, personally, if I was them, I would trade Roquan Smith. Because, like, your defense is going to be fucking ass. I would trade Roquan Smith to get some shit to protect your fucking quarterback. Maybe some offensive linemen. I'd get a package together for Roquan Smith. I'd be like, yo, I want players, maybe a pick and some players, because they don't have a lot of draft capital either. Dude, this team's going to be a mess. And so my biggest question for this is I think their floor could be 2 wins. I think their ceiling could be 5 or 6. I think they're going to suck. And I feel bad. I feel bad for Justin Fields because he's fucking going to be a waste of talent. If I'm Justin Fields, if they don't do something quick next year, I'm not fucking re-signing with the Bears. Fuck that. I'd go sign with, like, the Saints or something in a couple of years, dude. Go to a team that has some fucking panache on it. Like, I feel bad for that kid because it is the situation, in my opinion, that's stunting his development. And then they bring in Andy Dalton, and they're like, oh, Q-back number 1, starting him, then not starting him, all this shit. Like, just let the kid fucking learn and play. Why are you bringing in a dude who's not better than him? And you're just fucking playing a veteran. I don't like any of the shit they did. They didn't do this kid any favors, so they could possibly be the worst team. And so the conundrum is, I say that if you're the franchise, you stick with Justin Fields. There's really good quarterbacks coming out next year. And I know a lot of people go, oh, quarterbacks get pushed up and shit. No. There's like 3 blue chip quarterbacks next year and 2 more really good ones, like all first round talent guys. So if you're the Bears, it's like, are you taking another quarterback? I'm sticking with Justin Fields. And I'd trade back, or maybe trade Roquan Smith for some picks if it gets to that, and then trade back with those picks and acquire more picks and build around my quarterback. You got to side Darnell Mooney if he shows out again. This team's going to be bad. What do you think? I'd stick with Fields.
Yeah. I would say the same. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I said, I feel bad for him because I think Fields is going to be another Darnold. Because, like, even though Darnold's questionable with his talent and stuff, he had games where he was great, but then
pretty good.
That was when the Jets had pretty much no O-line. Offensive weapons were Robbie Anderson. It's like they didn't. It's like they weren't. There was nothing building around the team. And then also you had that horrible offensive coordinator last year for him too. Last year he was there too, so it's like you get not much you can do for the kid.
Fucking Bears, man.
I hope he does show out at least with what he's got, and then he shows that he's worth it, and then. Like I said, if he has to, go somewhere else after.
Minnesota Vikings. This is another team that I feel like could have a wide variance. What do you think about Minnesota?
Oh, I think they're going to be good this year. I think
I do too.
I think even though people make fun of Cousins because like, oh, he's so average. But guess what? He does good enough play.
I don't good. He's pretty damn good.
Last year's numbers were great.
I feel like he's high B tier with capability of being A tier. That's what I think.
I think with the weapons they have there and everything, they're going to do great. I think, it's tough because I think it's going to be the Packers and the Vikings both fighting for the first place. I think it's going to be a lot closer than it was last year. Like, I think the Vikings are going to I think both Vikings and Packers make the playoffs. But I think it's literally going to come down to like a game, and it's going to be divisional or something like that.
Oh, you think it's going to come down to a game? Okay, my bad.
I think it's going to come down to a game, maybe 2, but I think a game. I think one game's going to split them. Because, I mean, Packers can't... They've won 13 games straight. How many seasons? Like, it's been like 2 or 3, right? I mean, they could win 13 again. But I have to see how they're going to play without Devontae. And honestly, with like how Rodgers was coming out talking about like, hey, my receivers have to play better and do better in practice and stuff like that. I mean, obviously Lazard's going to be his number 1. But like, it can Watkins stay healthy. It's like the Sammy Watkins stay healthy for him.
So what do you think their ceiling and floor is?
I'll put their... come out. I'll put their floor at 8, and I'll say ceiling as like 11. 11 or 12. I'm more towards the 11 side, but they could get 12.
Yeah,
max.
I think that like their window for me is kind of narrow. They won 8 games last year. I think they'll be better than 8 games. I think it'll be competitive with the pack. But I would say their floor is probably 9 wins. Their ceiling's like, I would say it's probably not. I think I said that they had a wide variance. I think what I meant was speculation. I think people think that a lot of people think that the Vikings are just going to be really, really bad, and I think some people think they're going to be really good. I think it'll be narrow. I think they take second place. Green Bay's roster is really, really fucking good. It's one of the best rosters in the league right now. When you look at all facets of the area besides like weapons. But Rodgers is so good, it's gonna help make up for that. I'll take them at second, and I do think it'll be close. But I don't think it'll be as close as you. I think they'll have their moments in the race. But I think at the end, I think the Packers will probably win a game or two games more than them. But I love this team. This team's got added pieces defensively. They've added stuff to the offensive line. They had a really good draft. And, I'm hoping the coaching staff lets Kirk open up more and fucking huck the ball down to the field to the fucking weapons. You got Thielen, who's still a touchdown machine. You have arguably one of the best wide receivers in the league in Justin Jefferson.
Hot take Jefferson. Hot take Jefferson will take the receiving yards this year.
Really? Okay, that's not a hot take.
I think he'll take
really
receiving yards. I don't think he'll take touchdowns or receiving yards. I think he's going to be around like 1,600.
That's what I was thinking.
16 to 1,700 around there. I don't think he's going to reach 18 because Thielen's good. I think Thielen takes a lot. If Thielen wasn't there, I think Jefferson would get a lot more yards. But that's also why I think Jefferson will get more yards is because of Thielen. Because Thielen's a threat on the other side that they can't ignore.
Right.
And then on top of that, you can't ignore Cook in the backfield either. So it's like
KJ Osborne, good after the catch.
And they're going to have a better offensive coordinator this year.
Yeah.
I think they're going to learn how to play their weapons that they have.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Packers? Obviously, we both think the Packers are going to finish first still, but
yeah, I think they're going to be first, but it's definitely going to be close. Same thing. I'll give them a floor at like. See, their floor is going to be like 10 wins, though. I think their floor will be 10, only because they've been so good the past so many years. Yeah, Devontae Adams was great, but they do have two great running backs. Their defense didn't get. They have a really great corner, and their defense is pretty good over there. It's not horrible. I think it's above average to great. I mean,
the Packers defense is going to be really good this year.
Well, I'm saying like I don't think they're like the best, but they're not. They're not like they're way above. They're above average, but they're not like amazing. You know what I mean? They're, at least to me. I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention to what they've gained, but I know they have that nice corner and everything over there, and they played pretty well last year. So I think their ceiling could be. I'll put the ceiling at 13 again. If they get the 13 wins again, that'd be impressive. I think because they've been around that mark the past 3 years at this point.
Yeah, the Packers are an odd one. I could see them like their roster's really good, so it's similar to like how the Saints have a really good roster, but then they have arguably the best quarterback in the league. I don't see them. I agree with you. I don't see them being like bad, but you never know. Sometimes teams fall apart, but they have a stacked roster. Even though their weapons aren't that good, Rodgers is really good. They have an elite offensive line. I think they're going to play really, really balanced, smart football this year. Their head coach is really good. They're going to pound the ball with their two, really good running backs. One's underrated. They're going to pound the ball. They're going to play smart. They're going to pass the ball when they should and run the ball when they should. And they're probably going to lean and hope that defense is as good as it could be, barring all, hoping people get injured, stay injury-free and stuff. But I like the Packers to win again, too. But I agree with you. Both the Packers and the Vikings are going to be playoff teams. I really think the Vikings are going to surprise people big time. It's going to be fun. I love them. I love those Vikings jerseys.
I think, honestly, a big shock that I think Tunyon's going to be huge over there this year. He was big last year until he got injured.
Yeah, what did he have? 10 touchdowns? Something like
that. He had a lot. He was the second favorite target, I think, to Adams. I think he's going to be a huge pickup in fantasy too this year. Tunyon.
Possibly. I mean, he'll be red zone. He'll be end zone dependent. But so we'll move on to Seattle Seahawks. Here's another team that could be one of the worst teams in the league. They'll be vying for one of the quarterbacks next year. I mean, let's keep it real here. And when they're super, super bad this year, as much as I like Pete Carroll, they should definitely move on from Pete Carroll. Go get yourself one of these like high-powered offensive coaches, like like a fucking Eric Bieniemy or somebody, like that's just an offensive wizard. Seattle's roster's bad. I mean, they got a couple really good players at a couple positions. Like they got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They got Jamal Adams. They supposed to be Charles Cross, play really good at left tackle, but this team's bad all over the place. Their defense is atrocious. Their offensive line's fucking atrocious. Like, we don't know what the running back situation's looking like over there. I don't have much to say about Seattle. I think everyone thinks Seattle's going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I mean, they're probably going to be drafting a quarterback next year. What do you think? Seattle, they won 7. That team was similar to what it was last year. They won 7 games, even with a lot of dudes being injured. I think for me, I don't got a lot to say about them. I think this team's floor could be 3 or 4 wins. I think their ceiling's probably 6 or 7 to where it was last year. I mean, they might finish absolutely last because you only got those 7 wins because you're a quarterback, like, and your wide receivers. So
yeah, I think they're gonna be last in the division. I think the 49ers, a lot more people came back, and they were a good team last year. Deebo Samuel's there still again. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks defense got worse. I mean, their offense significantly got worse. I mean, and they weren't great last year. Like, I think they're, depending on how good their quarterback play is from, what the hell's his name? I don't even know who their quarterback's going to be, but
Geno Smith.
I can't.
You go. Oh,
the fact that Geno Smith is going to be a starting quarterback again, it's wild. Did you ever think you'd see the day again?
I mean, he must be doing something right because he's bouncing around on teams and being a solid backup for teams.
He's like the Fitzpatrick 2.0. He's just bouncing around the teams, doing his thing, being a good backup most places, and then maybe get starting roles here and there.
So we agree Seattle's last. We don't got to talk about that.
Yeah, they're not going to be this year. I'll even give them a floor of 2. I don't think
Seattle.
That's
draft a quarterback, get rid of Pete Carroll, rebuild.
Yep. And then I think their ceiling. Ceiling of 6. I don't think they're gonna go past
6. I don't know.
Like,
I really think they're just gonna be fucking bad. I don't even want to give them a fucking ceiling. You had Russell Wilson on your team. You can only get 7. That's how bad their roster is.
And then you go down to Geno Smith and over the person you traded Russell with. You got a quarterback vet.
Well, he's playing right now, but Drew Lock's out with COVID, so he'll be back. I don't know who's winning the quarterback battle, but fuck Seattle. We'll talk about somebody else. So here's a team that I think people are sleeping on, and it's the San Francisco 49ers. Personally, this is my team that I think I'm going to pick second in this division. What do you think about the 49ers?
Second. Well, you know what? I would lean more towards what you're saying, second. Only because Arizona is not going to have Hopkins for 6 games. That's a good chunk of the year. That's almost a third of the. That's just over a third of the year. I mean, not having Hopkins. I mean, you saw how Kyler was without Hopkins last year. I mean, now they have time to plan for it and a whole offseason to kind of get all their plays together and make it work properly. And plus, they got rid of another wide receiver, Christian Kirk, which he wasn't the greatest wide receiver, but he was still a decent wide receiver for them at that point. You know what I mean?
Well, they picked up Hollywood Cardinals.
No, I know. Like now you have a new person coming in, learning the scheme, and you basically have 2 players that aren't going to be on there for the first 6 games at least. Hopkins is going to come in and blow up again, but.
So what do you like and dislike about the Niners?
I think Niners. I like the quarterback choice. I don't. I like the Trey Lance. I think he's going to come in and play decent for them. I mean, with the running backs they have and the system they have, you don't have to play amazing quarterback play. They're almost a run first team. So I mean, you can give the quarterback almost like a, I don't know, like a boost. Be basically being like, you have this run game behind you where you're known for run based, so you can, and especially with Trey Lance with his running abilities too that he has, it'll give him the boost that will say, hey, we're either gonna run it, but now you're also gonna have to have a spy for me. So you're gonna have to, and then if it's a pass play after that, they're gonna be able to do run play action plays a lot better. So I mean, I think they're gonna do good this year. They're second, I think, might be pushing it, but I'm not a huge Kyler fan, so I mean, and especially with Hopkins gone for 6 games, it'd be interesting how they do the first. If Arizona shits the bed the first 6 games, easily 49ers coming in and swooping up the second spot.
Yeah, so what's your floor and ceiling for this team?
I'll give a floor of 7, just because Trey Lance hasn't had actually playing time, so you don't really know what he's gonna do in the real season against actual like aggressive defensive schemes. They're all basic defensive schemes right now. In preseasons, you're not seeing the real shit, you know. I mean, because that would be giving way too much away before the season starts. At that point,
yeah.
I guess a ceiling of, I'll say 11.
Okay.
11.
Okay. I was waiting, a little hesitant there.
11 is high for me, but they have the defense there, and it's really going to be, if he just plays decent quarterback play back there and doesn't turn over the ball too much. I mean, look at Garoppolo. He played decent quarterback play, didn't turn over the ball that much, and they played well. You have the running back. You got Deebo Samuel back there now, and he may not be running the ball as much, but he's a great wide receiver, and it's the threat of him. Just having him back there, it's a threat of him running the ball, the threat of him doing that back there, doing a quick reverse, and then, oh, now it's a play action. Now I'm going to shoot it off down the other side of the field because everyone thinks it's going to Samuel this way. I think they're going to play off him well this year.
Yeah, so I agree with pretty much everything you said. This team is last year and this now going into this season is one of the most interesting teams to me. You know, everyone used to talk all that shit and act like Tom Brady was a system quarterback and all that shit, and then we find out now it doesn't fucking matter what system he plays in unless you ask him to fucking run it. Like, he just fucking balls out, and this is truly an instance where you're seeing an offensive coach be so good at what he does, so good and creative with his scheme. They're actually a balanced football team. They just come at you at so many different angles. You know, they do a lot of screen plays, a lot of weird handoff toss plays, but they throw the ball more than people think. And part of the reason why they had success last year was because Jimmy Garoppolo had one of his seasons where he played decent. Shows you my transparency because I can't stand Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think he's that great. But Jimmy Garoppolo's always been a guy who's had all the talent to be better than he is. He duffs it in the playoffs pretty often, but he actually, as a whole, you can make the argument this is some of the best football he ever played last year, up until the very end. And I think that gave them a big boost. I think if everyone stays healthy, you look at this offensive line, they got a really good offensive line. Have you seen the numbers on Trent Williams, his PFF grade?
I think it showed me. It was like 87s, right?
No, dude, they're like 98.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like in the high 90s. They're like that light blue, right? Like, no one grades out like him. And when you watch, he's literally just taking everyone, throwing them all over the place. He's absolutely ridiculous. So the question mark on offense for me is who's going to is any running backs going to show up? Like Elijah Mitchell, he's been injured. Like, who's going to be the guy to come out of the backfield and solidify themselves as that running back?
They did Mozart. to the not Mozart. What's his name?
Raheem Mostert.
Mostert. They lost Mostert to the Dolphins this offseason.
He's overrated though.
No, I know, but he's a quick back, and it gave him the speed back there. But
I think with Trey Lance, man, if they could just hone him in, they talk about at camp how he's literally just like highly intelligent, just a quick processor and stuff. As long as they can hone in the accuracy, use him the right way, I think he's built for this fucking offense. And I've said this before. To me, rushing's not as important as passing. But rushing's a little bit different if your quarterback can rush and really execute designed run plays.
I think
it's a game changer.
It's wild that they're saying, like, you hear the things like, oh, he's Josh Allen-esque. And I love hearing stuff like that because I'm like, can't believe my quarterback's being like, that's the person like they're looking up towards. But, like, if he can be anything what Josh Allen has been, like rushing touchdown and rushing yards and throwing at the same time, they're going to have – Garoppolo can't do that stuff. Garoppolo, he can throw.
Yeah.
There's
things that Trey Lance can do that Garoppolo just can't do.
Yep. And that's going to – like I said, at that point, you're on the defenses they're facing, they're going to have someone watching him. Or just containing him in the pocket and not trying to get the sack. And that's a whole – and then if he can flush out – and I haven't seen him throw on the run on both, but I guarantee he can if he's a mobile quarterback like that.
Oh no, he definitely can. I will say
I haven't watched too much tape of him, but I'm saying like if he has that, then it's like if they're not going to rush in and try to get the sack because they know he's going to flush out and have someone down the field like that, then or run out and get 20 yards. It's like it's going to change the type of defense they have to play against them. And I think it's going to help them in their own division because they're not going to play this now. It's like a whole swap of what defense you're going to play.
So I think when you look at this team in totality, if everything breaks right for them, if Trey comes out and plays well, Brandon Ayuk's looking really good in preseason and in training camp. You already know what Debo's going to get you. The way they scheme things up, we haven't even talked about fucking George Kittle. George Kittle stays healthy. He's the best dual threat tight end in the NFL, blocking and receiving. If everyone stays healthy on this offense, their front seven on defense is so fucking gnarly. I do think that what's going to kill them against really good teams is I think their back four can be taken advantage of. I think that's where they'll lose football games. I don't think they can cover like elite guys. But for me, this team, if everything breaks away, I say 12 wins. They got 10 last year with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I don't think they played to the best of their ability. This roster, in my opinion, is a young enough roster. I think they haven't tapped their potential.
You upped me at the 11 mark, huh?
Well, because I thought you were going to go higher. I couldn't believe you gave them 11.
With them being second, I still think I think 12 to 13 is going to be towards the top.
And like, so I think they could get. I would say probably 10, 11. Saying their ceiling could be 12 wins.
Yeah,
hey,
that sounds good.
You never know. You never know. Don't be surprised. Maybe they get first place. You never
that's
know.
Understandable. Like I said, their own division is going to have to play them differently this year on defense. And that's going to be – it's not like, hey, we know this quarterback. We know how he's going to play. It's like we've never seen him really play multiple games in actual season. So we don't know how they're going to change up their offensive scheme. You know what I mean? Or just plays in general, because now things are going to benefit them by having a mobile quarterback. Right.
So I would say 10-7. I think this team's really good. 10-7 for me is like the floor, but we've already started talking about the Cardinals, so we'll contrast them to the Cardinals quickly. Like the Cardinals, we could transition to them. I got them third. I like Kyler Murray. He's fantastic. He's an A-tier quarterback to me. Hollywood Brown is okay, but he's definitely he's good, but he's definitely a number 2. I think his skill set is more conducive to you optimize his skill set when he's next to someone that's really good or as good as him. I think that when D-Hop comes back, if he's healthy and ready to go, they're going to really be a beast offensively. James Conner's underrated. Offensive line's a little bit shaky. But I do think because, like you said, they're going to be missing their best player for a little bit. And then I do think they lost Chandler Jones. They lost pieces on defense. I think they could be taken advantage of on the defensive side of the football. I would say their ceiling is 10-7. I'd say their floor is like 8 wins.
That makes sense.
We were kind of talking about both teams at the same time, but
no, I know. With the
they're always a hard read. Like that's another thing too is like we shit on the coaching staff, but I don't think their roster has been that great, even with Kyler Murray on it and shit, and they've been getting into the playoffs. So they're an interesting read.
I think Murray. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not an amazing quarterback. So, and I think I don't know. I think if he pushed him, not that he doesn't put the effort in, but there's a reason why that stuff was in his clause. There's a reason why that clause was in his contract. And like I said, I don't know anything about the team. I don't know anyone over there, so I have no information, obviously. But if that has never been in a quarterback's contract, any player's contract.
I mean, if it hasn't been spoken about it.
Yeah, but like it's because most players would be like,
it's expected.
If that would have been in anyone's contract, say even like Aaron Rodgers or like even to Josh Allen, if they would have brought that up and he'd have been like, well, I do way more than that anyway, so I'm not really worried. They can put that in there. But it's like he felt offended by it. There's a reason why he felt offended. Because
there's been good stuff written on how he acts like a fucking teenager. And
that's what I'm saying.
Press conference lets you know that he probably does.
I think with his size and what he does, like, you have to continue bettering yourself. Like, size is a big thing at quarterback. Like, you have to. Do you think Russell Wilson sits there and has to worry about how much film he's watching and all this stuff? No, he's doing all that stuff extra because he has to. He has to know how defenses are going to react because his O-line's giant and he has to do his thing around them. It's like the thing. Like, I love how people just to specter off this to Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen wasn't great when he first came in the league. He had the arm talent, but he didn't have the mechanics. He had nothing of that. He literally put all his off-season hours, pretty much all of them, into bettering himself. It wasn't the system or Dable. He was bettering his own mechanics, where he was chucking the ball 70 yards without properly loading himself. You know, where now he is doing it more accurate. So, like, if Murray did all that stuff and put all that effort in, I think he could be great and amazing. Because he has the raw talent for it. But the problem coming into the league, being like, oh, he's a hot shot. He's the number one. He's like, whatever. You don't think you have to better yourself that much. And I think that's what's going to hurt him throughout his career. But for this year, I think Hopkins being out and losing the running backs and the system that they had back there and gaining new running backs. I know Connor's been there for 2 years now, but they've been going through running backs the past 2 years. I mean, I just don't see them. I don't see them doing that great. I would say a floor of 6, and that's like miserably. If that's like the worst. I would say 7, but I could see it going down that low to 6. And a floor and a ceiling of, like, I would say 9 wins.
Quick question then. Do you think the coach gets fired if they miss the playoffs?
See, at that point, it's going to be you already extended Kyler, so you're going to have to.
Think so? Why?
No, I think he did a good job being there. I think if they hit the 9-win mark, and just considering that Hopkins, their wide receiver 1, wasn't there for 6 games, gotcha. I think they'll give him the benefit of the doubt that within those 6 games, if he wins 3 of them, then I think he'll be good. But if they come out like 1-5 or like 2-4 against that, it's going to be questionable. Like, so you don't know how to scheme when someone's hurt. But then you also lost your number 2 wide receiver this in the off season. Yeah, you gained Hollywood Brown, but you know what I mean. Like he's revamping his skill. He's learning your new offensive scheme that everyone else is learning pretty much to this point.
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting. They lost Chandler Jones, so like I do think this team's gonna probably most likely take a step back. I have them third, which leaves us with the defending champs, the Rams. I don't have a lot to say about the Rams. I mean, they got better. They added Bobby Wagner, which is going to help their defense because their linebackers, to me, weren't shit last year. They had one of the worst linebacker cores. That's going to really help them. They added Allen Robinson, and obviously, let's be real here, the Rams figured out how to team build. The Rams figured out and learned how to team build in the new age of the NFL. They paid their quarterback, their tackles, their wide receivers. They built a good D line. Well, they paid their pass rushers, Aaron Donald and those guys, and they went out and they traded for Jalen Ramsey, an elite corner, and then they just filled in the cracks around those things. You know, they were 27th in rushing last year and won the Super Bowl. And like, I don't even really feel like going into all that again because if the dudes that act like rushing the ball is the most important thing and that's your pathway to victory still, even though most of the teams that rushed well didn't make the playoffs or had early exits, and the 2 teams that went to Super Bowl had 2 of the worst rushing attacks, go right ahead. Keep running the fucking football 50 times a game and keep running yourself to fucking 7 wins. But, yeah, I don't have much to say about the Rams. I think there's a good chance they can go right. I think this is one of those rare instances where I think they could go right back to the Super Bowl. They got better. They got better. You know, no one can stop Cooper Kupp, and then you're adding Allen Robinson, who's been one of the best wide receivers in the league for a while. So, what do you got to say about the Rams? I mean, I said all that there really needs to be said for me. I mean, their floor, if they get injured and shit, is 10. Their ceiling, they could win. They can go 13-4 with this team.
Okay, yeah, I would say their ceilings definitely at that 13 mark, and floor, you can't do under 10. That would be just criminal.
Criminal.
Because they may have lost a wide receiver, but they didn't really. They gained Allen Robinson, so you're not losing much. He's a good wide receiver.
You have an S tier and an A tier wide receiver on your team, and you just won a Super Bowl. And that said, S tier wide receiver single-handedly shredded the Bengals defense and got in the end zone for them, or else they would have lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we don't have much to say about the Rams. I mean, they're just really good. The Sean McVay and those guys, they spent what they needed to spend, move what they needed to move to build a team, and it's exactly how you should build your fucking team. Quarterback, tackles, pass rush, wide receivers, and get yourself an elite DB, elite cornerback to take the other person's wide receiver out of the game. But, yeah, so I could see the Rams going back. They're definitely going to be competing. They'll at least go to the NFC Championship. For sure.
Yeah, I would think the NFC Championship is going to be
like their playoff floor.
I would think Rams and I can't. You know what?
Rams and Vikings. Rams and Vikings, baby. Let's go. Rams and Vikings. Run it up. Huh?
I said Vikings, Bills, Super Bowl.
No, we're gonna get to this next. I want a Bills and a Cowboys Super Bowl more than
that
anything.
would bring it back to the 90s.
Dude,
that would bring it all the way back to the 90s.
Dude, it's okay because between you and I, they probably won't watch this because they're not even showing up for it. But the night before the season opener, I'm gonna open up the Facebook group chat again. And I'm just
Oh, you
going to
did
be
a quick
like,
one?
yeah, I'm going to invite everyone back into it and be like, hey, here we go, and all this stuff. And everyone's going to start running their mouths.
And you have to
yeah.
start the message as, I'm the captain now.
Yeah, I need to cut to know. But yeah, so we're going to move to the final one. And then if you want, I don't know what you're doing tonight, but I'll probably be up for a little bit. Maybe play a little Warzone if you want.
Yeah, sounds good. We get some done.
Which is perfect because we're going to be probably done in the next 15, 20 minutes here. But we'll start with the Giants. Too bad Adam's not here to defend himself. All of our boys love these teams. They're not here to talk about them. But, oh well, because we're in a time crunch with the season right around the corner. So the Giants, they were 14-3. What do you think about the Giants?
Giants are going to be in the basement this year. Again.
Yeah, it's not looking too well for them.
Granted, Washington isn't looking that hot, but their defense is so great. Their defense is so good that it doesn't matter what happens on the offense. It's going to be like last year. Their defense played well, and their running game wasn't horrible. With Antonio Gibson, and now you keeping Scary Terry.
The defense didn't play that great. They gave up 434 points.
Yeah, but they had potential for the rush attack.
Which I think is like most of the NFC. No, Falcons gave up more. But anyways, keep talking.
Yeah, I just think with the potential their defense has, and like bringing back, like you have Antonio Gibson still, you have the Scary Terry back there again. He's a good wide receiver, but I'm not sure who's on the other side of him. So I guess that's the kind of thing where their offense is going to.
Paid Samuels.
Oh, I know you're talking. He was from the Panthers.
He got hurt last year, though. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're gonna. So Giants, I would put them. If Saquon can stay healthy. I am completely big. What was that wide receiver they played big money for last year? They did nothing.
Oh God, fucking! He played for Detroit. Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay.
I feel bad because we're like laughing as we talk about it.
If you can get more touchdowns than some offensive linemen they got last year, this year. No, there was a Facebook post that said 7 offensive linemen got more touchdowns than he did before.
Kenny Galladay had. Listen, your offense can be as bad as you want, man. I've never seen a wide receiver get paid $20 million and then get 0 touchdowns.
But no, I think. I think their ceiling is going to be around their floor is going to be around 4. And I think their ceiling is going to be like 7. I don't think they're going that high unless they, like I said, unless Randy Dimes over there starts actually throwing dimes all the time, and Saquon stays healthy, and Galladay stays healthy, and everything goes well. I mean, their defense is going to get ripped to shreds.
Well, so, yeah, and so to piggyback off that, I watched the games. I went and watched the preseason games, and I know it's preseason, but they got some issues. Kayvon Thibodeau didn't play well. Evan Neal, the right tackle, he played like fucking ass against the number ones. He was getting fucking pushed. How are you 6'7", 340 pounds? You're just getting pushed around by other fucking grown men, but that's besides the point. Let's you look at this roster. Danny Dimes, he's such a hard read. I think at this point it's safe to say he's probably damaged goods at this point. I don't see him being all that great. Which is crazy because his rookie year was fantastic. I just think, just like Justin Fields, he's falling victim to a team that they are currently, the state of their franchise in terms of like fucking decision making is just not good. They had Gettleman come in and just fuck everything up. And it just shows you how bad you could be fucking set back when a fucking idiot who doesn't know what he's doing makes all the decisions over there. They're on the right path by signing Brian Daboll. I think that was a great sign. What is it? Who was their fucking last coach? That dude was a fucking idiot. And he sucked. Who was their last coach? who was acting like it was fun. He's giving Friday night light speeches. The fuck was his name?
Shit, I can't.
Exactly. He's fucking irrelevant. But anyways, when you look at this team, they're not going to be that great at quarterback. I mean, I say Danny Dimes is capable of like B tier play at times, but on average, it's like high D, low C tier. He just turns the ball over way too much, makes a lot of bad decisions. They're not looking good. They're not looking that great in camp. I think they won their preseason game or some shit, but it is preseason at the end of the day. When you look at this team, their best group is probably their wide receiver core, their defensive line's the best group. When you look at their defensive line, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Azeez Ojulari, who was really good last year for them, and then Kayvon Thibodeau. It's like, come on, like, can you get something out of him, right? That their front four is solid. I don't know how many times I got to say this, and people want to knock higher analytical, like deeper grading, and they want to talk shit about PFF. The linebackers on the Giants are extremely inefficient. Blake Martinez will get you over 100 tackles every year, but behind that defensive line, he should be efficient tackler. You shouldn't be tackling people 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. Their linebacker core is inefficient. Blake Martinez had a year when he played for the Packers where he was extremely efficient, but he played on a really good defense. Like, he was behind really good defenders. So they got issues at linebacker. They have a really good free safety who I love, but the rest of their DVs are like they don't have a lot of experience. They're not that great. I think the floor, again, like you said, 4 wins, ceiling possibly 7. And that ceiling of 7 is if they could turn down on all the turnovers, play good enough defense, and Barkley has a really good year, 7 wins, maybe 8 wins. If Barkley has a crazy year. But I agree with you. I think their back end, their linebackers and their safeties, I think they might get fucked up this year in their division by the weapons they got to go against. You look at the Commanders, they picked up Carson Wentz. They have arguably, when he plays the best of his ability, when it comes to pure arm talent, he's the second best quarterback in that division. With Terry McLaurin and Samuel and the fucking guys that catch the ball in the backfield on that team, you know what the Cowboys can do offensively. Everyone can talk that shit, but the Cowboys, they can put points up on you in a fucking hurry if they make the fucking right decisions, and by that, throw the fucking football. I don't think the Giants can cover these teams. I really don't. I think defensively, the defense might be the biggest worry of the Giants this year. I agree with you. I think their defense.
They're going to get shredded.
I think they're going to get fucked up on the defensive side of the ball this year.
So Scary Terry's bad enough. Antonio Gibson can be good out the backfield, and he can. They might use him up front to even do. I'm not sure what the slot receiver is over there, but like the slot receiver, any slot receiver against them with a good wideout, they're going to kill that linebacker core as well, covering wise. Yeah. So I mean. And like if you look at the Cowboys, they got good wide receivers, good tight end, and some good slot receivers. So I mean, they're gonna shred them. And then same thing with the Eagles. Eagles, they have a good wide receiver core too now, and they're known for.
Dude, not even talk about them.
You're gonna stack the box for the run, and your linebackers aren't gonna be looking for coverage. I
think defensively, I agree with you. They're gonna be in fucking trouble this year. So I don't want to talk about the Giants anymore, but Commanders. So to me, this team has one of the biggest spreads of variance out of all of these teams that we talked about, even in the AFC. Commanders have talent on both sides of the football. This team it's all going to be predicated on what they get out of Carson Wentz. We touched on their weapons. Defensively, their fucking front seven's going to be nasty. They're going to fucking bring it. Their back end has some holes that can be taken advantage of a little bit. Offensive line should be solid if everyone stays healthy. To me, with Carson Wentz, I feel like the Commanders, their ceiling could be 10-7. I think their floor could be 6 wins, 7 wins. I think they could be either bad or I think they could be solid. And I think if they maximize their ability, I mean solid as in they could go 10-7, 9-8, and miss the playoffs, or Carson Wentz has a meltdown and they miss the playoffs, because I don't think they'll be better than the Eagles, and I don't think they'll reach that 10-7 mark. I think they could. It's possible if everything breaks well. We've seen Carson Wentz have years where he's really, really good.
I mean, last year with Heineke back there, they went. The year before that, they did pretty well.
I don't know what happened to this team last year, dude. I don't know what the fuck happened to this team last year. Personally, I love Ron Rivera.
Chase Young is still a beast.
I love Ron Rivera, but I think that if they're bad again this year with Carson Wentz, I think they should consider moving off Ron Rivera. He's a really good defensive mind, but, they need to get a newer coach in here who's balanced or has more of an offensive grit to them, because, they have good defensive personnel. I never understand why teams I could see the Washington maybe being like, Ron, if you don't feel like coaching a head coach somewhere, why don't you be our defensive coordinator? We're gonna bring in some young guy here who knows offense and stuff, because they have good offensive weapons. Carson Wentz got a live arm. I don't know. What do you think their floor and ceiling is?
I'll do a floor of 6 wins, just because Carson can throw a game away. I think their defense, even though, like you said, they did give up a lot of points, I think that was more on the back end. And if I'm hoping Chase Young just gets a good boost this year, because I think Chase Young's huge for them back there.
Yeah, he's really good.
If he gets a good boost in just experience wise and being in the league and all that stuff, and he comes back super hot this year, then I could see, like I said, ceiling. Start that. Yeah, I would say ceiling 9.
I'm watching Carolina and the Patriots right now. Matt Corral's just checked in. Say that again.
I would say a ceiling of 9. Only because with that division, 9 wins can get you it.
Yeah, but I think the 2 teams at the top are still going to be too much.
No, I think they're going to be top. That's what I said, a ceiling of 9. Because if I said ceiling of 10, then I'm going to have to say the top team over there is going to get ceiling of 12 to 13, which I don't see that happening in that division.
Right.
Not to be rude thing. I know the Cowboys went 12-5 last year, but you know what I mean. I don't see them doing that again this year with it. Well, who knows? Maybe they'll get maybe another win against the Giants, because the Giants could win only 1 or 2 games in the divisionals.
Right.
So that might boost a couple records.
Man, I feel bad for Brian Daboll. On a side note, I know you got to take your chances at a head coaching job when they show up, but dude, there's always head coaching jobs. Brian Daboll, I feel like, made a bad choice going to the Giants. Why didn't you just stay and try to win for a year or 2, try to win some championships with the Bills, then go to a better situation? Why the fuck is Brian Daboll not coaching the fucking Saints? Or, a team with talent.
He should have went somewhere where the taxes weren't so miserably horrible.
How much is he getting paid?
Worse in New York City, bro. It's worse.
Well, is it technically New City or is it Jersey?
Technically, it would have to be Jersey. Well, no. See, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Does
I'm
it matter? Is the headquarters in New York City or is it in Jersey? The stadium's in Jersey.
The stadium's in Jersey, but I'm not sure if the head is in New York. But I think it would even. I don't think New Jersey's that much better with taxes. They're probably a little bit, but not much.
Who knows?
But if I was him, I would have even for the Texans, I would have grabbed that, and that's a whole revamp. You don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, right.
You don't have to worry about
you gotta win with the fucking Giants.
But with the Giants, sorry, going back to that. With that whole Feliciano add-on as the center.
Oh, Feliciano? You mean the second coming to fucking Jesus Christ?
You realize
the second coming to fucking Quentin Nelson?
Feliciano is he's the guy that can play any spot on the offensive line. He's not a starting center.
Feliciano also got knocked the fuck out in practice. I don't want that dude on my team.
He started center for us for maybe 2 or so games. The whole time he was here, he was a backup.
Yeah,
He
I
was
know.
a
I see, but that's the thing is, all the dudes in the group chat want to talk shit about the Bills, and I love how I probably could tell them more pickups than fucking maybe even you. I'm like, I was telling them, every single dude you guys lost, every single guy you picked up, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Ryan Bates was sitting on our practice squad, and we brought him back up again, and he stayed up there because he was that good. And then we gave him a contract this year. Ryan Bates is going to be good. Spencer Brown
graded out really well last year.
Yep.
So
our
dudes
isn't going to bad.
Like that's my only concern with the Bills is like without Brian Daboll there, do they maybe take a step back a little bit offensively?
Well, the funny thing is, the guy who took over him is the quarterback coach, so he knows Josh. He knows what he likes. He watched the games, and guess what? Now we have. I'm hoping O.J. Howard pans out for us, but whatever. That's off topic of NFC.
So
but like,
okay then. So speaking of quarterbacks, Eagles, Jalen Hurts. What do you think about the Eagles?
I think they're gonna do well this year, but that's all in how well they do is all depending on Hurts. If he can't develop to do the nice deep ball, or at least further intermediate route, like I'm talking like 25 to 40 yards. If he can't up that in his because he doesn't really need it. Like last year, yeah, he was the number 1 rushing quarterback, but that's because every time he got flushed out or the amount of like planned rushing plays that he had,
they had a lot of designed runs for him.
It was massive for him. So, and I think that was because not that they didn't expect that much out of him. I didn't think that they were worried about losing him, in a sense. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't say that.
No, I wouldn't say, but how often they did designed runs, the chances of him getting hurt.
He's dynamic at running, man.
No, I know he is. He probably likes playing like that, which he probably asked. He could have asked for that many designed runs. Who knows?
Put the team
I'm saying
back.
I'm saying most teams will be like, even the Bills. The head coach Sean McDermott comes out every time and says, they always come out like, "Hey, how do you feel about Josh Allen taking so many hits this game?" He's like, not a big fan of it. He's our guy. I don't want him getting hurt. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you don't plan, like, the Bills don't plan for that many designed runs unless it comes down to a 3rd and 1 or something. You know what I mean? Where he was being aggressively used like that, which it makes sense. He was a younger quarterback. He's not going to get hurt as much. So I understand that point. I understand what they're doing, but I think this year they're definitely going to do a lot less designed runs because I think they saw what they could get out of him, and they saw the ceiling that he could have as a quarterback. You know what I mean? They go, if he has the rushing ability and he has decent passing, if he can improve that, we could have a really good guy here. So I don't think they're going to risk that as much this year. But if he can improve that passing, they are definitely going to be... It's a toss-up between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think the Eagles have the better end of it, only because of their defense. Their defense is good, and their offense did improve this year. So I think they have the upper echelon just in the defensive factor. I don't think their offense is... I think their offense is equal or just a little less than the Cowboys. Because I do like the Cowboys' offense. They were close to number 1 offense last year for a reason. I mean,
yeah,
they have a good team.
So, I agree with a lot of what you were saying. I like the Eagles too. I agree. I think that what's going to be huge for this team is Jalen Hurts needs to have improved at throwing the ball in the middle of the field and throwing the ball deep. Now, he's got the weaponry now. There's literally no excuse for Jalen Hurts this year. I mean, not that I'm making an excuse. He was good last year. He's really good. But he's going to have to take the next step and prove, hey, I'm a B, high B at least a high B starter. And he's got to improve on throwing the football down the field. If Jalen Hurts can improve this year, throw the football down the field at even a par clip, it's going to make this team super fucking dangerous. You talked about the fact they added fucking Brown. They added a bunch of defensive players. Their offensive line, they're bringing back one of the best offensive lines in football. They understand that they run the ball with the committee, the best rushing attack last year. I think their defense is going to be solid. I think they got some underrated players on defense. I think that this team, it's tough, man. I think they got I personally think they have one of the better rosters in the NFL right now. I really do. I think they have a top 10 roster in the NFL. I think this team's ceiling is 11-6 in winning the division. I think this team could go 11-6 and win the division if Jalen Hurts just improves incrementally a little bit. Just be a little more accurate. Be more accurate down the field. Open it up. Take chances. Get the ball to you guys down the field. Listen, a lot of it is understanding your weapons. Like Burrow. Burrow gets one-on-ones. Burrow gets one-on-ones with guys, and he knows Jamar's going to beat that dude, and he puts it in the best spot for him. He goes up and gets it. Hi, buddy.
You gotta watch this. This guy's gonna be the number. This is gonna be like one of the top draft picks.
Who, Big Cole?
15 years. Yep, right here.
There he is, dude. The dog's licking the fuck out of his face. But yeah,
they're buddies.
I think their floor is gonna be about what it was this year. I think this roster's too good to be bad. I think they win 8 or 9 games is their floor. But I think if everything breaks for them right, they can win the division and go 11-6. What do you think? What do you think the floor and ceiling?
I agree with that. I would say the floor is 8. Just because, I mean, that's everything shits to bed type of thing, you know. And they drop a game. They drop a game because everyone drops a game. Every team drops that one game they shouldn't lose, stuff like that. But I think their ceiling is definitely, I'd say 11. And that's close. And yeah. I see, like I said, I think they have the edge over Dallas because their defense is a little bit better. Personally, I think their defense is better than Dallas. And also, they have a really good run game. If Zeke runs well this year, on top of Pollard running well, and you have sets with both of them out there, it's gonna be you're not gonna know where they're gonna go with it. And I guarantee teams are gonna run towards the side Zeke goes to, and Pollard can get big things out of it. But you know, I think Eagles are gonna.
So I will give the Eagles first place. I think it's solely because their roster's really, really, really good. And I'm banking on Jalen Hurts playing as good as he did, if not a little bit better last year with an improved roster. There is still a part of me, and I don't even know if I should say first. Maybe I should just say they'll be fighting for first. Let's just say that, because I think it'll be really close. Because I think they're going to fight. I think you can't outrule the fact that Dak's just by far the best quarterback in that division. And that will really help the Cowboys.
Well, that's why I said it's going to be. I think they have the edge, but I think they're both going to be ceilinged at 11.
Yeah, that's what I think. And we could talk a little bit about the. Oh, I'm watching Matt Corral right now. We could talk a little bit about the Cowboys to wrap this up. Fortunately, no one jumped in, but the Cowboys. So, you look at this roster. Rumor is they're trying to trade for Roquan Smith. That'll be fucking huge if they could trade for Roquan Smith. But when you look at this team, there's a couple factors that are really going to bank on if this team wins the division or not. I think that people are fucking haters and they just run their mouths and say a lot of dumb shit out of spite. The Cowboys still have one of the better offensive lines in the league. They got an all-pro left tackle. They have an all-pro guard. They have Doug Free at right tackle who grades out really, really well every time he plays. They got Trevor Biadasz at center. Grades out really well every time he plays. So this is Dak, who's been looking fantastic the last couple of years. Well, the 1 year he's injured, but he looked phenomenal last year and the year before he got injured. Behind a really good offensive line, right? With to me personally, they got rid of fucking the guy they should have gotten rid of, an overrated wide receiver in Amari Cooper, and they got underrated guys. Both Gallup and CeeDee Lamb are underrated. Gallup is going to be coming back, nursing off an injury, but with an underrated tight end in Dalton Schultz. I think people are fucking sleeping on the seat. None of us are picking. I don't think any of us are picking any of these teams in this division to make some fucking miraculous playoff run. I'm just talking about beating the teams in their division and getting to the playoffs. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys both have an opportunity here to take first place and make it to the playoffs. Look at the Cowboys on defense. They had a good pickup in Anthony Barr, which means you could play him and Leighton Vander Esch at Mike and Sam. You can, and it makes it so the defense will be a little more versatile because you could play Parsons anywhere. If you decide you want to go more run defense and play 3 linebackers, you could play all 3 of them. If you want to go bring in the guy, play nickel and bring Parsons off the edge, you could do that. And then they got Sam. Who's the kid that's playing defensive end for them? Sam something.
Shit, I can't think of it.
God damn it. They have a defensive end who's a 4-3 defensive end who's playing really, really, really good for them right now in preseason and in training camp. I think this front 7, I personally think this front 7 is going to be really, really good. The key on defense is as great as Trayvon Diggs is at fucking calling turnovers.
Behind him, it doesn't matter.
So it's not, hold on, it's not as bad as people think it is, though. Yes, he's giving up big plays in crunch positions, but his coverage is still in the 70s. It's just, you would rather have his coverage. It's because he takes a lot of chances. It's not because he's not capable of covering guys.
He jumps routes quick. He does the stuff that would get you the interceptions.
Yeah, he's not getting beat off athleticism, and because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, he's being too aggressive. And I agree with Adam. Give me a guy that's going to grade out at 80 to 90 and get 3 interceptions. Then a dude who's going to grade in the 50s and 60s and give me 12 interceptions. And I don't care what anyone says. Turnovers, to me, are not all created equal. And I've never understood when Adam's like, turnovers are more important in the second half. Turnovers are only, to me, a turnover is only really that important if a game is close. Now, if you go out there and rack up a bunch of fucking turnovers, odds are you're going to win that fucking football game. But turnover, it's situational how important a turnover is. So when you go into the playoffs and every game fucking matters and you're just fucking banking on your dude, hopefully we're close enough and Trayvon Diggs gets an interception and seals the game for us, you don't want that. You want him taking the opposing wide receiver or tight end out of the fucking game. So if he doesn't play to his ability and become more of an efficient corner, that's what's going to make the defense leaky. Because I think their front 7 is going to be fucking awesome.
I think this year Diggs is going to be... He's going to learn. I think he's going to learn what happened from last year, and he's going to put it towards his game and know, hey, I can beat these guys. I can be one-on-one with these guys athletically, and I just have to have a better mental thought about my game at this point. I think he's going to get better this year.
Yeah, so Diggs...
He won't have interceptions, but he'll have a better coverage rate this year.
Okay, so Diggs' coverage rate was above what's average in PFF. It was a 66.7. To me, that's clearly indicating that he makes a lot of mistakes because he's always going after interceptions. What bogs his overall grade down is he sucks in run defense. 32.3. That bumps his grade from if he didn't suck in run defense, he'd probably have closer to a 70 grade, which is above average.
He's attacking the interception, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be... But, hey, let him suck and then let the Bills pick him up in a couple years so they can have Diggs and Diggs on the same team,
But, yeah, so I think that the Cowboys' ceiling... I think their front 7's going to be gnarly this year and underrated. I think their back end is going to be improved, but it's going to hinge on Diggs. Their offensive line is going to be good. Here's the biggest thing. I'm a firm believer that the Cowboys have not lived up to their potential and they might have missed their window because of coaching and play calling. We're not professionals. We're not out there. We're not making the ones making the decisions. But when you got a quarterback that's as efficient as Dak Prescott, why are you running the ball a fuck ton in the first half? There's so many games where they run themselves into the ground and get behind, and then all of a sudden they're like, throwing the ball. And once they start throwing it, they play catch up. Like, let's be real here. Had they not ran the ball so much in the first half against the 49ers, they would have won that football game. And I'm so sick of these people that are like, oh, they needed to run it more. That's why. No, they had to come all the way back because they weren't throwing the ball enough. They weren't getting the ball to their best guys. They weren't getting the ball in C.D. Lamb's hand. That shit pissed me off. Every time C.D. Lamb got the ball in his hands, he was converting the first down and making dudes look silly. But yeah, we're going to fucking run the fucking ball in the first half. Make better fucking play calls. Throw the ball when you should throw it and run it when you should run it. Ideally, you should be throwing the ball on fucking first down. And then, depending on what happens in that play, will dictate what you do with the ball. There's more leeway on second and third down. And everyone's like, oh, the Cowboys are bad because they don't run it enough. Fuck you. They run it too much in the fucking first half and get down. Kidding me? They should have never lost the 49ers. But I say their ceiling 11-6. Their floor, I think the Eagles and the Cowboys have similar floor and ceilings for different reasons, and I think they're going to battle it out for first place. That's what I think.
I agree with that. I think the Eagles will have a better chance long haul. Just like I said, I think their defense is a little bit better. Even though Cowboys have that good linebacker, I think they're not going to be. I don't know. Their defense isn't up to par with the Eagles. They're close, but I think it'll be a fight at that point. But
yeah, I'd give the edge to the Eagles' defense too. It's a more complete defense.
Yeah. So
a lot of veterans on it that know what they're doing too. So.
I would say I would give it the floor of 8 wins. And the ceiling of like 12.
Think they can get 12 again?
Yeah, they're gonna be 12. Like I said, if they're gonna be number one, like it's 11 or 12. Same thing with the Eagles. I'll go 11 or 12 with either of them. I think that is gonna be a difference in who wins the division.
Gotcha.
But if that happens, now if it hasn't been 2 hours yet, so do you want to talk like NFC East like playoff, like who's like the final 7?
Well, no, what I want to do is as we get closer, now that we've broken all these down, I want to get everyone in and look at what people think about what teams are going to make it in, what teams are not, dark horses and sleepers and stuff, and then maybe talk about like who we think's going to win awards like MVP, Rookie of the Year, all these other things. We'll do like a on the eve of the season maybe episode, like on Wednesday night. I'll be done with my arm wrestling tournament at the state fair, so then I'll be resting my arms. We could probably do a Wednesday night podcast for the start of the season, and we could just go over who we think's going to do what.
Okay, that sounds good. Because
that's what I think I'm going to do.
Now, do you think I personally, I'm coming down to who's going to be the last one to make the 7th seed at this point. Because with what we've come up with, I think the Cowboys would be good enough to make the playoffs. Yeah. And if the Vikings are going to be good enough to make the playoffs, there's only one other team that could make it in. And I think it's either going to be the Saints, depending, or even the Niners.
Well, I think the Niners are going to make the playoffs.
The Niners would be over them, but I think it'll be between the Niners and the Saints, depending on how the Saints quarterback play goes.
I think it'll be the Niners. But yeah,
it's going to be interesting over there. I want to see what the lowest team comes in at the playoffs. Personally,
Well, now what I'm going to do is I got to summon the courage to sit down here, do a couple takes, and make my power rankings heading into the season. And actually, I should probably wait. Well, I can make it and then like see how it looks and tweak it or whatever. I also would like to do player tiers, but I just don't know how much time I'm going to have. We've been doing so much shit on the weekends. Like, every single weekend we got a party to go to or somewhere to go. Or so
I'm thinking of messing around and doing like a YouTube channel or something stupid.
Dude, you should do a Bill's YouTube channel. You just fucking scream at people, throw the kids through tables.
Nah, just do
You should do a channel called
Bills, Beers, and Bets. Bills, Beers, and Bets.
Yeah, Beers, Bills, and Bets. Or you can do a channel called
player props that you go, what the hell are you doing with those player props, bro? I'm like, I'm just putting player props in shits and gigs, dude.
Shits and gigs. That's what it should be. Shits and gigs.
You think the Chiefs aren't gonna have Kelsey score a touchdown and get 89 plus yards? They're gonna get it. Plus it, just add on to your daily fucking whatever bet. You know what I mean? And just put like random bets throughout the random teams, and I guarantee you could hit it. You could not. Have a 10-11 parlay for $10. Get $2,000, or you don't get $2,000.
That's what you should do. You should make a channel where you do bets.
That's well. I want to talk other stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing, though. You can't be in there talking about giving people advice for bets without being a winner.
I am the worst at bets. My win rate is horrible, but if this bet wins, you're going to be up 2,000 at this point. Okay, so if you take this at $5, you could win good money.
That's fucking funny. I got one this weekend. I got a 4-fight parlay, $20 to win 1,000.
That's what I'm saying. That's the funnest bets. Those are the things that get people like, hey, you know what? See, the bets that I showed you last year for the Super Bowl and all those divisional games, they weren't that far off of realistic.
Dude, I had the one where I got 3 out of 4 right, and I would have won $4.9 million. The Bengals could score a defensive touchdown.
But you know,
Absolutely
even the ones
ridiculous.
I did that were like, even the ones I did that were like 10, 11 parlay things, they weren't all unrealistic. You know what I mean? They were like, hey, this guy most likely is going to score a touchdown. He's most likely to go over these yards. He can get these catches. You know, it's like until like I think I got the Odell Beckham touchdown in there and stuff like that, where it's like it's going to happen. Could you imagine if someone put Gabe Davis for 2+ touchdowns in that divisional game? Jesus, man. I'm looking at like season bets right now where I might put some stuff in for like player props there. Like we're like, hey, this player's gonna get X amount of yards and stuff. Where it's like, hey, that can happen. I'll put $5 and make a crazy little parlay here, and hey, if this thing wins at the end of the year, then I get like this much money.
Here's I think I think you should make a YouTube channel, but this is what we'll end with, real quick, and then we'll get out of here. Who are you most worried about next Sunday? Not this Sunday, next Sunday in our draft.
Like what player I'm worried about getting?
Like what guys you've seen who's in it. Who are you most worried about in terms of like competition building? Who do you think's gonna build like the best teams? Like who are you worried about?
I haven't been in your guys' leagues, but I feel like Frontelli's like a freaking like.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me look.
I just get this like aura off him that he's just like.
Yeah, he literally texted me the other night and he goes, I go, what's up? He goes, nothing. He's like, doing some research. He's talking about football. I'm like, oh boy, look out.
Been doing practice drafts all day.
Hold on. A lot of these guys are new, though.
I would think Frontelli, personally, for me, because, dude, see, that's the thing. I've known him. I've not been his, like, close friend at all for, like, long. Dude, I used to be really good friends with him in elementary school. But, like, just knowing how he is through, like, just seeing how he was through, like, high school and middle school and stuff and whatnot.
Nate changed his team name to Evan Bottom.
But I see him being the person that, like, he's pretty serious about fantasy. Like I can see that being his thing, where like, because he doesn't have kids, he doesn't really have much worries. So I feel like he puts a lot of energy towards this because it's like it's something fun.
The guys I'm most worried about are Frontelli, my boy Silvani, because he's been playing fantasy forever, and then my girl's brother Kyle. He's played fantasy for a long time too. I'm worried about him too.
And I'm telling you, I'll be the dark horse in that. I'll be the dark horse.
Okay, dark horse, spit your shit.
I'll get a couple things, and where I really win is pretty much the waiver wire half the time. Where I'll just pick
you're
up
one of those guys. I went on the waiver wire.
No, I'm kidding you, dude. Like, remember a couple years ago? I think it was when I was in California, so it had been 2017. Remember when Kareem Hunt blew the shit up? I picked him up that week on the waiver, and I won that I picked up a couple key pieces that week where it basically won me the whole league. Where it was like I'm decent at finding people at the right time, but with you guys, like with it being a 12-person league and you guys being, I feel like you guys might be a little bit more attentive than the other players I've played before. It's gonna be a lot harder. I don't see myself, man. When I come in there, I would be happy with getting third out of the whole thing. I would be, if I got third, that would probably be the highest I would expect myself to get. But if I got first, that'd be cool too. It'd be just, but then you know how it is when it comes down to the finals. When it comes down to the last four, it's whoever shows up, whoever's not injured at that point.
And so with that, we'll wrap it up. We're going to be doing our fantasy draft live, not this coming Sunday, the following Sunday, right here on the podcast. It's going to be a live fantasy draft. So anyone that's watching or anyone that's interested, fucking buckle your seatbelts. All of us are going to be in here. Hopefully we can get as many people as we can. In the Discord to draft. And we'll probably invite Adam and Anton in, even though they're not part of it, so they can just fucking laugh and commentate it.
That's some time.
They'll start arguing. Adam or Anton will be like, I really love that pick right there. And Adam will be like, shut the fuck up, drunk, or let's start fighting.
It's like, you're throwing it to make an explosion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like gasoline and styrofoam. Eventually it's gonna make something bad.
Try to hit some Warzone up.
Yeah, I'll be jumping on.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go see Chell and hang out with Chell for a little bit, see what she's doing, and then we'll probably hop on some Warzone. I'll probably stream that. You guys can find me on the Warzone stream at Mr. Nasty Time on Twitch, YouTube channel, Mr. _Nasty Time. Chad, you got anything to say to the people?
Just go football, dude. It's the season now, man.
We're almost there, baby.
Literally 2 weeks away. Oh, well, technically 3, I think, from the opening day. Less 2.5, whatever you want to call it, but it's close.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we'll be back. Hopefully I could get that power rankings done. Ideally, I'm not too concerned about the player rankings. I'm mostly concerned about just getting that power ranking video out. I think that'd be cool. So I'm gonna start doing my notes and working on that. And then we'll get everyone together for the draft. What do you guys say?
For you, just damn it, he's a Packers YouTuber, but he does like a top 10. I would say if you want to make it not less stress, but like not as much like, I'm not sure, you're probably not like. For me, when I'm thinking about doing YouTube stuff, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to get this program so I can edit it and all that stuff. I'd rather do it all in one go and just say, hey, F it if it's bad. If it's bad, it's bad. But do like a top, if you want to do a top 12 or like a top 15 or like top half the league, to make it a little, so you can like, it's not going to be as super long, so you know you can have your talking points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To make it a little easier.
I'm going to do a whole power ranking. And I think I might do it quarterly throughout the season. Every 4 games, I'll put out another power ranking. This is what I'll do. throughout the season. So every 4 games I do a power ranking, that'll do a playoff power ranking. I'll just do multiple different videos. But yeah, so that's probably what my plans are going to be. And then I want to get on here and do a video game episode at some point, at some time, if you guys want to chat video games or whatnot. What's on the horizon and shit like that. So you might want to do your research on the gaming and shit. But yeah, I thought we did a good job today. Thanks for coming on and staying with me. It was just you and I, so we got it actually done pretty quick. But we're going to scoot on out of here. Go play a little Warzone if anyone that's watching wants to see us on the Twitch stream. Easy, dude. My bad, dude. Right now, yeah, my forearm's getting massive.
Literally almost a year, and I got my kids. They're 40 pounds. That's what happens when you get 40-pound kids, you know.
Man. Keep it a G-Real podcast. I'm the up and up. More content. You can find me at Mr. Nasty Time on YouTube, Mr. Nasty Time on Twitch. Might bring the Twitter back at some point. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But this is my boy Chad. This is your boy Evan. Chopping up with that football talk. And we're out of here.